Most audience targeting doesn't fail because the data is wrong. It fails because people start with demographics instead of decisions. And that single mistake cascades through everything else. Audience targeting has become one of the most over-engineered parts of marketing. There are tools, dashboards, segments, personas, lookalike audiences, all designed to make targeting feel more precise. But despite all of that, most businesses are hesitating. When you ask a simple question, who is this actually for? And that hesitation leaks into everything. Messaging feels vague, content feels harder to create, confidence drops. Now in this video, I want to show you how to think about audience targeting in a way that actually works, without overcomplicating it and without ignoring how people really make decisions. Hey, I'm Stephen and I help simplify marketing so that you can grow without overcomplicating things. Targeting feels difficult because most people are taught to define an audience by who someone is, not what they're doing. So we start with age, job title, income, location, and again, none of that is useless, but notice what happens next. You sit down to write content and you still don't know what to say. Because knowing someone is 35, London-based, who works in finance, doesn't tell you what they're thinking about right now. It doesn't tell you what's keeping them stuck. It doesn't tell you what decisions they're trying to make. And that's why targeting often feels theoretical, but not practical. Good targeting should make content easier to create, not harder. At its core, audience targeting has one job. It decides whether someone feels this is for me or not. That decision happens fast, usually before they've consciously processed your message. That's why great targeting doesn't feel clever. It feels obvious. When someone watches your content and thinks, this explains exactly what I'm dealing with, that's targeting doing its job. And importantly, that reaction doesn't come from perfect demographic data. It comes from relevance, timing, and alignment. This is the shift that unlocks targeting for most people. Stop asking, who is my target audience? And start asking, what decision is this person trying to make right now? Because decisions focus attention. They narrow thinking. They create urgency. They create openness. I've watched teams struggle with targeting for months, refining personas, adding segments, debating edge cases, and still feel stuck. The moment we reframed the conversation around decisions, what someone was actively trying to solve or choose, targeting snapped into focus. And not because the audience changed, but because the context did. Decisions beat descriptions every time. One of the most counterintuitive truths in marketing is that narrower targeting doesn't automatically mean better performance. In fact, I've often seen the opposite. When targeting becomes too narrow, messaging starts carrying too many assumptions. It tries to speak to everything the audience might care about and ends up resonating with nothing strongly. I've worked on campaigns where tightening the audience hurt results, but tightening the message improved them dramatically. The audience stayed relatively broad, but the problem being addressed became much clearer. And suddenly, engagement lifted. Clarity scales. Precision doesn't always. Quick check. When you think about your audience, do you start with who they are or what they're dealing with right now? Comment who or problem below, and I'll take a look. If you want a simple way to define your audience, use this. Who is this for right now? What problem are they aware of? What decision are they trying to move towards next? Notice what this does? It strips away hypotheticals. It removes edge cases. It forces focus. You don't need 10 personas. You don't need perfect data. You need one real situation you're speaking into. The strongest marketing systems I've worked on always started narrow. Not forever, but intentionally. Once momentum was built, expansion became easier. But focus came first because focus creates momentum. This is where targeting stops being a standalone task and becomes a foundation. When your audience is clear, your message sharpens, your content gets easier to create, your buyer journey flows, your brand feels more consistent. And when it isn't clear, every other part of marketing feels heavier than it should. Targeting doesn't sit at the top of the funnel, it sits underneath everything. That's audience targeting that actually works without overcomplicating it. Now, I've got more videos coming that build directly on this, including how brand perception fits into all of it. So make sure you're subscribed for new videos every Monday and Thursday, and I'll see you on the next one.